Hey everyone, Bungor here. Today I've decided to create a guide to help you improve your overall League of Legends experience. This guide will combine a lot of things that I've either heard from other guides or learned throughout my first year playing League of Legends. Most of the information in this guide is not mine. I can't really take credit for it. I'm just kind of bringing everything together, and I hope I can give you guys some useful information and tips to help you improve your game and hopefully improve your elo and have a more exciting and fun League of Legends experience. Alright, to start things off, I'm going to talk about typical champion select and the standard setup for the laning phase. I decided that I would give you guys this information because I've noticed that throughout a lot of my games in ranked solo queue, people kind of refuse to play champions that go well together or work with the team composition whatsoever. So the typical setup for North American playstyle involves a strong solo top lane such as a bruiser or a tank kind of character that can survive but deal a good amount of damage. For instance, Cho'Gath or Aurelia or Jax. Those are just to name a few. And then in the mid lane, an AP carry. Those are, really strong burst damage typically. Not a lot of sustainability for the most part. And then you have a jungle, and in the bottom lane you have a support and an AD carry. This is the standard setup for North American playstyle, but like I said, that varies depending on where you go and what's going to work for your team. Some people or some groups like to run with the dual APs, an AP carry top and an AP carry mid to get that extra burst damage with less survivability. But it just kind of depends on the team and what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. So one of the most important parts that I've found about playing in ranked solo queue is that you must try and master a strong variety of champions. My suggestion would be starting off, and stick to normal games when you're doing this, but start off by trying to just master 2 champions of the same role. For instance, 2 strong top lane champions. That can be bruisers, even an AP carries if you want to. And then you just become extremely good with those 2, and that gives you at least a little bit of variety to kind of work around picks and bans just a tiny bit. And then after that, I would suggest trying to learn 1 or 2 characters in different roles as well. Everyone knows that when you're playing ranked solo queue, if you are the last pick, there's very little chance that you're going to get to play the role that you want and are comfortable playing. So the way to counter this is to practice other roles and other champions as well, so that way you will be efficient and be helpful to your team regardless of which role and champion you're going to be playing. So alright, it's also very important to try and select roles and champions that fit into the team setup. For instance, while it's not necessary to play a support with an AD in the bottom lane, one should try to pick a champion that doesn't rely heavily on farm in order to allow your carry to farm as much as possible. This is the reason that the AD support bottom lane is common practice. It just allows the support can keep the carry alive while they're able to farm and try to get as much gold as possible so that they can be really strong late game when everything matters and team fights start. So and then finally, if you really want to raise your elo in ranked solo queue and you have the skills to be higher, you should try to pick a role, in my opinion, that has the potential to carry your team. No matter how much I'd like to believe it, there's only so much a support can do to win a game. And if your team is just awful and all the lanes are losing except for yours, your team is still going to be at a pretty big disadvantage. This is also why I would like to kind of suggest that trying to find a good dueling partner to do ranked solo queue with. This allows you to, you'll have the knowledge at least that you're going to have one teammate you can rely on regardless of how badly the other teammates may be. So, and lo and behold, you will end up with feeders on your team. It's just part of the game. That's how it is. That's how they weed out the high elo players from the low elo players. So having that dual player with you gives you someone to rely on, you can count on. So this is another suggestion that I have for anyone wanting to raise their elo. Now on to actual gameplay. First I'd like to kind of talk about the laning phase and the different things that go into winning a lane. In my personal opinion, I find that the best way to win games and carry your team is to beat your lane opponent as badly as possible. The biggest thing when I am playing, especially at lower levels, I try to focus on farming. Now it does depend on the role and the champion that you are playing. Some characters are better at harassing and getting those kills early than they are at farming. But typically, especially for most of your AD carries like Ashe and Caitlyn, they're a lot better at farming. They're really good at farming. They should focus on getting that creep score up in order to obtain as much gold as possible and just become really strong late game when the team fights start breaking out. And kind of the objective of early game is to try and balance farming with harassing your opponent. Alright, now I'd like to talk to you guys about the importance of last shotting. Basically, last shotting is trying to wait until your minions put a creep down to no HP, and then you just get the last sit on them to get the gold and experience. You still get the experience regardless of whether or not you're the one that gets the gold, but when you are playing at higher levels or want to play at higher levels, a lot of times, as opposed to killing people, you can make up the gold just by last shotting the minions, and farming your way up. So this is a good way to get a big level advantage and gold advantage. Not really a level advantage necessarily, but a gold advantage in lane. So you just basically what I do is I just kind of click around until my creeps get their minions really low, and then at the last second I just I click that creep and finish the creep off to grab the gold. So, and this can be a little difficult at first. Really, you have to get to know the champion that you're playing, and that just comes from practice, because you learn how much damage your champion does based on the items that you have. I do have a Doran's Blade, so that gives me an extra 10 damage, so I have a little wiggle room, and I also have runes. I have attack damage quintessences, so that also gives me wiggle room for as the creep gets lower. I don't have to wait till it's quite as low to last shot that creep. So, and I mean, as you see me, I just kind of roam around here, let my minions get the creep as low as possible, and then finish it off to grab that gold. So, and another important thing about last shotting is, with this, assuming your lane opponent is doing the same thing, you won't push the lane forward. In this clip, that's obviously not the case because I don't have a lane opponent who's last shotting, so it's just the minions dealing damage. But in a typical one, your opponent will be doing it as well, and then the creep wave will be sustained in the middle of the lane. And this way you're not overextending in the lane and putting yourself in a position where you can be ganked by the enemy jungle. So that's a big part of last shotting as well, is it just keeps your creep wave there, and you don't have to worry about overextending and putting yourself out of position and then putting yourself in danger of giving up a kill and giving up that 300 gold. So yeah, that's last shotting in a nutshell. Alright, now I'm going to show you warding real quickly. These are just ward locations, not a lot of information on them. If I am in top lane, each person should ward for themselves, and then the jungle should also place a ward. If I'm top lane, I would like a ward, or I want a ward in that little entrance to the river. Mid lane, I ward right there, watches that entrance for the river, and if top wards correctly, then you'll be protected from that side of the river completely. The jungle should ward approximately in this location, or in that little brush right there, gives you dragon coverage, and you'll be able to see anyone coming in the river. And finally, bot should ward in that location right there to give you full dragon coverage and wards. And then if I am on purple side, the wards are completely symmetrical. I'm going to ward right here, the entrance to blue, same as for bot. It also gives you Baron coverage. If I am in mid lane, I'm going to work my way down here. Actually, that's the jungle ward. The jungle should ward in that location there to give mid full coverage, and they'll be safe from any type of ganks coming from the upper side of the river. working my way down here. If I am on middle, I'm going to ward in that location right there, and that'll keep me protected from this bottom side river. And the final ward, if you are on purple side, goes in this bot brush. You won't have coverage of dragon, but you will know if anyone comes into that jungle, into that river whatsoever. So, and then additionally, some more aggressive wards. Here's one at blue buff, in this brush right here. And then looking up on top side, we're going to stick wards in that red brush, this entrance to the jungle, and then that other top brush as well. And those are all aggressive warded placements for later game. I'm going to talk a little bit about zoning. Zoning is what you want to do if you know you have a little bit of an advantage over your opponent. And basically what I do is, since I'm laning against Karthus and I'm playing as Brand, I know I have a lot more burst damage. So I'm able to push Karthus away from XP and gold range, so he's unable to farm and unable to level up. So right here, I basically move back and forth, try to last shot as many creeps as I can, and every time Karthus comes into range, I'm going to go over towards him and try to throw my spell combo on him to harass him down and force him to either leave the lane or at least leave the XP range. So he's not going to get a lot of that gold and XP and farm and stuff that so he's going to basically be way behind me in terms as far as the lane is concerned, and that's kind of what you want to do in as far as winning a lane. See right there, I dropped a spell combo on him. He's starting to get low, so he has to go back. He's gonna teleport back to his base. So in this situation here, I have this huge minion wave. I'm gonna go ahead and try to burst it down really quick and push the wave to the tower, so that the tower will get all the gold and XP and Karthus won't get any of it, and then I'm gonna teleport back and buy. So that's a big advantage for me. So the last big thing that I want to talk about is teamwork. I can't take credit for this because most all of this information, though it is pretty much straightforward and common knowledge, seems to be left in the dust when it comes to people becoming frustrated and playing in ranked high-intensity matches. I'd like to credit Colby Cheese for presenting this information. Anything I can add, I hope it helps. It is really important to have fun in the game. Ultimately, the whole entire purpose of playing League of Legends is to have a good time and to have fun. Of course, there are those lucky few who get to compete in teams and competitions for money where stakes are involved, but for the vast majority of us, we're here just to have a good time, improve our game, and stuff like that. So, in order to do this, it's necessary to try and keep a cool head. This can be extremely difficult given the fact that you have absolutely no control over your teammates, particularly in solo queue. But first I would recommend that you try and not become frustrated and caught up with the failings of your teammates, as most people don't respond well to criticism. Telling your teammates what they're doing wrong probably won't make the situation any better. So trying to provide your team with encouragement, taking control and maintaining leadership. If you're dominating your lane and not making negative comments toward your team and demoralizing them, it's going to be a lot easier to take charge and get your team to group up and move as a unit. Communication and cooperation is hands down the biggest thing involved in winning games. Providing your team with guidance as far as where to move and what to do, those are so important. And I've seen a lot of games that one mistake from lack of coordination, such as trying to do Baron, has got a team wiped and they've lost the game just because of that. So the biggest things in the game are to maintain your composure, try to keep a cool head, and encourage your teammates, and try to provide leadership when it's time for the team to come together. So, and that's going to be it for me, guys. I just want to thank you all for watching. I know this was really short and there's a lot of information that's probably left out, so any feedback or additional comments is definitely encouraged. Feel free to subscribe and like the video or whatever. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace.